Welcome to Rack of the Week 189. This week I'm going to talk about a technique. I call it the slow hold. And there's kind of an interesting little end pattern in this rack as well. First, I want to welcome my newest supporters on Patreon and YouTube, Richard Budiano and Perseverance. And always I give a call out to my $7 a month supporters, Rick, Brian, Chris, James, Rainier, Fred, Leroy, Christopher, Ken, Charlie, Indian Heathen, and Richard. Thank you very much for your support. Let's get into the rack. I'm going to take my face off the screen here. I'm showing the entire screen capture. This is from a live stream last week. And so you see the two views, the overhead on the right and the regular view on the left. And across the top is the scores. So the scores all say 0. This is the very first rack of the live stream. I think I ran a 56. And so this is the first rack. Since this is the first rack, I'm setting up my own break shot. And this is the standard break shot I've been setting up lately. A little bit of an inside angle, not a huge inside angle, and I'm aiming for the second ball from the bottom or between the two balls in the middle of the rack. You just hit the middle of the rack, straight high ball, cue ball with right English goes to the bottom rail and back up. Generally, this is a very powerful break shot and keeps the cue ball under control down on this end of the table. Yeah, so that's the other thing that can happen. The cue ball can back up and go forward. Either way, you're looking for the cue ball to, I've fast forwarded to my first shot. Either way, you're looking for the cue ball to either back up and go forward or go to the bottom rail and back up in this direction into the balls. Keeps it down table. And as you notice, I got a good spread. No two balls are touching. And if you play back the live stream, I talked about the fact here that you kind of look at two sections of the rack. I've got the upper balls and the lower balls, right? So I've got two potential break balls there, possibly the 9, but it's a little bit high. And so is it okay to clear all these balls first and then go up here and work on those? Some say yes, some say no. I think it's 50-50. It's up to you. Some people suggest you should leave one ball on the bottom rail, clear 3 or 4 of these, so that you can shoot some other balls, maneuver, and then use the balls on the bottom rail to reposition the cue ball into your pattern. I believe I'm trying to remove almost all these balls, but probably not all of them, because what I'm looking at right now is I just want to shoot the 7 and bounce up here so that I can shoot the 1. I'd like to get just right so that I can cut this 15 next, and I don't think I get there, but I know that if I don't get there, I can shoot the 10 after shooting the 1. And then I should have an angle on the 11 ball in this pocket. So either way, this is about maneuvering to get at these two balls, because these two balls on the bottom rail are kind of close to each other. So we need to deal with them. Using the ghost bridge that I invented, pretty handy. Not needed for that shot. Any bridge would have worked. That was a very simple bridging attempt. Nothing fancy needed, but I like the ghost bridge. Anyway, so I don't have an angle that I like, I don't believe. So I think I'm just drawing back like a few inches. I want to get close to straight in on the 10, as I mentioned. Oh, I slide it up. Yeah, that's a better way to get close to straight in. So looked at my angle, you're sighting from the ghost ball position, not from the object ball. So a stick shot's going to let me give me access to this 11 in the corner. And now, as I'm looking at it, it looks very natural for the cue ball to float a little bit forward and bump the 2. If I can bump the 2 up here, then I'm going to have a shot on the 14 ball back this way or the 2 ball up this way. And I think that's a good, a low-risk way. Generally, you don't want to be bumping balls. So, and here's why you don't want to be bumping balls. Now I created a little bit of a problem here, and I made the 3 ball a less quality break ball. It would have been better over here. It's not the end of the world. I'm just saying, you got to be careful with bumping balls, especially when you've got them all open. You're trying to maneuver without bumping the ball. Now, this shot right here there's 2 examples of this. I call it the slow hold. Look at the overhead camera on the right side of the screen. I want to go from the 14 to the 6, and then I'm going to maneuver. As you see, I left 1 ball on the bottom rail, and I need to deal with this here, this cluster above the break shot, and while preserving one of those as a key ball. But the only shot I have right now is this 14 in the corner. If you can see, it's a bit of a cut, probably close to 15. It might even be closer to 30 degrees. And the tangent line is roughly in this direction, okay? But if I let the cue ball go that way, it's really hard to control the speed, and I'm probably going to end up straight in on the 6. I don't want to be straight in. I want an angle. So this is what I call the slow hold. I'm cutting this ball, maybe with a little bit of outside English, but you're shooting low on the cue ball. And the concept is that anytime you shoot below center in the cue ball, it slows the cue ball down. Why is that? Because it has backspin on it. And I'm not trying to draw the cue ball. I'm not trying to make it come back. I'm trying to decrease its speed while still being able to accelerate through the cue ball. So in this way, you're going to see the cue ball take off on the tangent line and then curve so that I can hold an angle on the 6. So it's going to be a short backstroke. See how close my hand is to the cue ball? Short backstroke, way at the bottom of the cue ball. And see, I went through the cue ball with some speed. You've got to accelerate. You don't want to decelerate. But the backspin on the cue ball simply slows the cue ball down so that it doesn't go all the way up table. And there'll be another example of that later on this rack. That's a technique that's used quite often in straight pool. So if you're a straight pool player, you want to practice that kind of shot. And here I'm trying to come across. I think I'm trying to come into the 5. Yeah. I wanted to touch the 5 because then I have the 9 this way. But most importantly, I might have a window right through here at these balls into the side pocket and could do something good there. But I missed the 5. So the only shot, which is regrettable, is this 5 ball in the side pocket. Same thing. If I roll this ball, the cue ball is going to go here, and it's probably going to roll right on top of the 15. I don't want to do that. I want to hold it over here for the 15. So it's really the same shot. Below center, maybe a little bit of outside, but short backstroke, boom. See how I went through the cue ball with some speed? But it's a short backstroke, so it's not a whole lot of speed. It's just enough to keep a positive stroke on the cue ball and get backspin on the cue ball, not to draw it, but to slow it down. I call it the slow hold. Anyway, so now I'm playing position on 2 balls. I want a shot on the 9 ball, but I'm really trying to come up here and get into this window between these balls so I can get in there. And it didn't come anywhere near it. So now I want to use the 9. Very important to do what I'm doing right here. I looked at ghost ball position. I want to back the cue ball up like a half to 1 ball diameter just to here so I can have a shot on that 2. And I don't do it. Now I'm going to tell you something. Let me pause this for just a second. That shot didn't look like anything at all in the world. It is the simplest shot in the world. And I didn't quite get what I wanted. But that shot is the difference between a good amateur and a pro. Because a pro would be right here. And it's like, what, a 3-inch difference. But they'd be right there on the 2 ball. Because the 2 ball on the side, okay? All you got to do is roll forward. Next, you shoot the 8 ball in this corner. Here's the shot line for the 9. So when you shoot the 8 ball, you make sure to stay above the shot line to the 9. So when you shoot the 9, your cue ball just slides over here, and you're straight in on the 4, or even a little bit above it, so that your cue ball can go to the rail below the side pocket and bounce off the rail so that you're right here for your break shot. That would be a pro end pattern. Now, I didn't get there. So now I have to do something different and something that contains more risk. So that shot didn't look like anything, but I'm telling you, that's one of the most important things in straight pool is getting the cue ball where you want it. Because if you keep the cue ball in your pattern, it just looks like child's play. And that's what the pros make it look like. So I do have a shot on the 4, and I'm debating whether my cue ball can bump the 9 out of the way. So my cue ball goes here, and then I have a shot on the 8. See how much more complicated it gets if you can't keep your cue ball in the pattern? But I decide against that, and I'm cutting the 13 a little bit, just a hair to my right, up in the upper corner, and going to bump the 2 ball away. So I'll have a shot on the 2 or the 4, this other ball this way, or the 8 ball this way. And you want to make sure when you do this that you bump the 2 ball where you need it. Like I did. So I was successful there. If you just bump that 2 ball so that it stays here against the rail, look how much more complicated your end pattern is. Oh my goodness. Now you got to shoot these balls in some fashion to get the cue ball up here, but with a shallow angle to shoot the 2 and hold for your break shot. So this was great. Now I can float forward for the 4, but you got to remember to stay on the right side of the ball. So I didn't float forward enough. I've got to cut this ball to my left. I'm looking at the overhead camera mostly. But it's fine because I can just do a little nip draw and just kind of hold the cue ball right there. I want to be able to bounce the cue ball off the rail so I can come here for my break shot. I'll pause this real quick, and I'm looking at the overhead camera again. Think about if I had rolled too far. Here's the shot line for the 4. If I had rolled my cue ball all the way over here, look how much harder it is to cut that ball cleanly and bounce the cue ball off the rail and get it right. Now, I probably would be able to do it, but that's largely because the 2 ball is so close to the side pocket. But it's so much simpler. This is straight pool concept, minimal cue ball movement, and that's what this is. Even though I'm cutting it to my left, I can use a little bit of right English and just kind of, my cue ball travels just a few inches instead of 2 feet. So that's what makes it so much better to be on this side of the ball. See? Barely have to do anything with the cue ball. Well, it went a lot farther, but once the cue ball left the object ball, I was in line the entire time. Now I've got the angle I wanted. If I had gotten the window on the 2 ball in the side pocket, my cue ball would have been here. And again, that doesn't seem like much, but I'm looking at the overhead camera again. Kind of fun to have that there. Look at the difference. Here's the ghost ball position, okay? Look at the difference in cut angle between these 2 positions. Now, again, that might not look like much. It's huge. It's a huge difference. From here, the place where I didn't get my cue ball, the cue ball is going to have much more velocity at a better approach. Well, the approach angle is the same, but it's going to have much more velocity going into the rack. It's twice as good of a break shot. That's those little things that I'm talking about make a huge difference if you're trying to connect a lot of racks playing straight pool. Let's skip forward to the break shot. All that said, this is a good angle. It's an inside angle. And so just a straight high ball. Cue ball's I'm predicting it's going to go to the bottom rail. Let's see. Yep, straight to the bottom rail. Oh, wow, a lot of left English. All 15 balls are in the bottom half of the table, and so is the cue ball, and that's what you want. I'm in a great position to continue the run. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you got something good out of that. Remember, if you're going to play straight pool, play it straight. And see you next week on Rack of the Week. Bye.